Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you about 5 key ingredients for a thriving relationship. So I really want to break down some of the most important 5 principles that I think we need to pay attention to, check in with, that really create a thriving relationship. Now, we could unpack each principle to literally discuss so much about each one, but these are just themes that I think are going to be very valuable for you to keep in mind during your relationships, during the way you interact. And I want to be recognized, ideally, what happens if we don't do these things, like some of the things that are likely to take place on the other side. So the very first tool or ingredient is to have healthy habits for your needs. Now, people use relationships to get their needs met at a subconscious level. It's not something that people necessarily consciously look at other people and are like, will this person meet my needs? I'll just let go of this person if they're not going to meet my needs because this person will better. It's not like that. We have bonding, we have connection, we have all these things that take place. But at a subconscious level, our brain is a needs meeting machine. And if we don't have some sort of awareness that our subconscious mind does on autopilot, go to our primary attachment figure relationships, which in our adult life is our romantic relationship. It goes to that as a strategy to get our needs met. If we don't honor that and work with that, then, if we're not intentionally bringing those needs on board, then our subconscious mind can run into more chaos and can be more resentful, frustrated. Part of resentment comes from literally when our needs are not met in our relationship. So what do we do about this? How do we use this principle number 1? Well, we have to start by defining our needs and talking about them. We have to be able to say, these are the things that are important to me in a relationship. For example, maybe it's connection, maybe it's learning, maybe it's exploration together, maybe it's to feel supported, maybe it's to feel seen, to feel understood, to laugh. You want to talk about what relationships mean to you in terms of how you want to get your needs met and what needs are important. And then what you want to do is create strategies and be intentional to work on that with one another. If for example, your partner really likes deep conversations, make some time for that each week. Have some dedicated time you allocate towards that. If the other person in the relationship really likes exploration and to try new things, set intentions to do different things, go on a hike, try a new restaurant, just pick things that work in the dynamics and context of your relationship. And this brings me now to principle number 2, which is to then stay checked in with these things. Have a weekly conversation. Ask each other, are your needs being met? How do you feel? What ways would you want your needs to be met differently or better? And the more you can have open dialogue that's just normalized when it comes to meeting needs, the better your relationship will go. And by the way, if you want to, I'm going to keep going through some other principles in here, but if you want to do a deep dive, and you can literally check out for free for 7 days, the 12 key pillars to a secure relationship. It's literally 12 major ingredients we need to have really successful relationships. You can check that course out for free. You can download the workbook, all that stuff for 7 days. And you can click the link in the description box below. And again, it's called 12 Key Pillars to a Securely Attached Relationship. And it gives you a roadmap for what to do, how to get there, what these principles are, how to reprogram what's not already a principle, and how to change that as an individual and in a relationship together. So I recommend checking that out if this topic's of interest to you. So when I say stay checked in for tool number 2 here, it's to have these conversations, to be on top of things, to be intentional, and to normalize the communication of needs in a habitual way. Number 3, and by the way, the healthy habits include things and they relate to needs. If emotional connection is important, do a date night every week. Put things in there that are really simplified, that you just have as a norm, a habit in your relationship that's there all the time. And it increases the chances that your relationship thrives without having to put the work in, because that habit's already there in place working for you and the relationship. And number 3 is to communicate through things in your relationship. One of the biggest factors when I was working with couples so much in private practice and had so many people coming in and saw the inside of so many people's lives, something that was super important, in my opinion, was that people actually work to talk things out. The things I would look for when I was meeting people for the first session and kind of learning about the dynamics of the relationship, 2 things I would look for right away. What was me gauging the likelihood of the relationship succeeding would be, are both people willing to put in the work? And are both people willing to work through things in a relationship? Shoving things under the rug is the most destructive thing, in my opinion, you can do to a relationship, because all it does is it creates a lack of resolution. When people feel a lack of resolution, they put up an invisible wall or a guard. They lose faith and trust in their partner, and they build up resentment. And I just, like, the image I imagine is like that comes to mind as an analogy is like, every time there's a lack of resolution, it's just like this resentment tank, like building, building, building. And eventually you get people in a relationship together who have so much resentment and disdain for one another that they're then unwilling to work, right? They're then unwilling to work through the problems and do the heavy lifting because they don't feel safe, or they don't feel trusting enough to invest in doing that work with somebody else. And if you get to that point, it's very difficult to backtrack. It's very challenging unless you have like a third party, a counselor, like somebody in there helping you to facilitate that, where you can kind of trust that person to lead that, because often both parties lose faith in one another to do that work together. And this is when we get into like, woof, we're in really tough territory. And so it's extremely important to work on talking through things. And this means, like, if there's a problem, to say, what went wrong for you? Why? What feelings do you need me to acknowledge? What needs do you have for improvement? And then to have a two-way conversation that way. That's a really great place to start. Number 4 is be present with each other. The Gottman Institute, which is a fantastic space that just has like the most in-depth resources on like studies that were done with couples. I've mentioned this a couple of times on this channel, but they literally would film couples. They'd like let people stay at a bed and breakfast kind of thing for free in exchange for being able to film them all the time. So they had all their food and their lodging or rent like taken care of, but then they had to be filmed 24/7. And one of the things that they found to be literally the most important dynamic to predict the success of a relationship was, do couples ignore each other's bids? So if somebody's saying, hey, how are you? Or good morning, or oh, look at the bird, or whatever it is, does the other partner look? Do they acknowledge? And when people are ignoring bids, it's destructive to relationships. It's the absence of presence, and it leaves somebody with a feeling like, you don't matter enough to me. You know, like your attention isn't valuable to me. Your connection isn't valuable to me. And so it's really important. And I personally set this rule in my relationship. Like because sometimes I'm really busy, sometimes my fiance is really busy. Like if we have a time where we're busy and somebody's trying to chat, we say, hey, I'm so sorry, I can't talk right now, I'm just in the middle of something. And we just explain. It doesn't mean that like not ignoring bids all of a sudden becomes that you have to be available 24/7 when you're in the middle of something. But even just turning around and saying, hey, it's not the best time right now, I'd love to chat and be present with you later this afternoon or later this evening or at 7 p.m. or whatever it is, that's fine. It doesn't mean you always have to be available. It means that you just have to acknowledge when somebody speaks to you regularly. And this is huge for relationships. And there's a lot of research that has gone into this historically. So really important predictor for a thriving relationship or not. And number 5, be somebody who boosts one another up, like be somebody who encourages, compliments, set the attention to do it. If you don't naturally do those things, they're huge for relationships, and they're huge for making like somebody that you love and care for feel seen, feel acknowledged, recognized. Like this is what you would want somebody you love to feel. And so even if it's not something that you naturally do, just make an effort. Like once a day, I'm going to say something kind, and eventually you'll just get into the flow of it and the swing of it, and it'll feel comfortable and normalized. So these are 5 really important tools. Again, you can check out that course for free for 7 days, 12 key tools to it. 12 key principles or tools, I forget the title exactly, to a thriving relationship or securely attached relationship inside of the school. You can literally just type in the all courses 12 key, and you'll see that, and you can start there in the all access membership pass. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.